Hello respected viewers, I'm George from Ireland. So here I am in Osterley Park, and this house behind me is known as Osterley House, though confusingly it's properly called Osterley Park, the same as the park that surrounds it, which I'll show you in a minute. Anyway, so we are some miles west of London, very close to Heathrow Airport and the headquarters of Sky Television. In the background you can possibly hear the motorway. The M4 goes through the actual parkland. So onto this place. So the first house built on the site was built by Sir Thomas Gresham, a very affluent banker who also founded Gresham's School. So he built that in 1572, if memory serves. Queen Elizabeth I visited him at least once. What else? So yeah, he bought Boston Manor, which is close by. A manor was an area of land with a manor house, and there have been seigneurial rights accruing to whoever owned the manor, who was lord of the manor, which is not the same as being a lord. It didn't give you the title lord, but these sort of manorial entitlements were abolished under Elizabeth I. The serfdom was done away with in England and Wales. To my knowledge, the first country in Europe to do so. Though Ireland, we actually never had serfdom, though we had chattel slavery until the English emancipated our slaves. Anyway, so the Gresham family, they frittered away their fortune, they fell on hard times, and they were deeply in debt. So this house was largely dilapidated when it was purchased in the mid 18th century by I think it was the Child family, another wealthy banking dynasty, and that Child's Bank, or Child and Co, I think is still going actually. So then this was built. The old house was razed. This was built in its stead. But the man who bought it, that Mr. Child, it was his grandsons. They engaged Robert Adam, the most celebrated architect of the age, to build this. Although it's not that expensive, because yes, they got the Ionic columns in the middle, but the rest of it is rather plain, that red brick. Not that expensive relative to the size. So this was built in 1761, and they owned that for several generations, and it passed on, and it came to the Earl of Jersey. I can't remember which other notables owned this. So Horace Walpole, who lived in Twickenham, not so far away, Strawberry Hill, the Prime Minister's son, that was Horace Walpole. He visited this place and said how magnificent it is. So inside there's some rooms based on Etruscan architecture, and they had various artifacts from Italy, the country which really captured the imagination of the whole of Western Europe well into the 19th century. So actually looking back to the classical era. Anyway, obviously it's got plenty of bedrooms. It's usually open to the public. So in 1939, the owner of it, he decided he would let the public in because he didn't live there, and 12,000 people visited the first month. That was just before the Second World War broke out, and that was unusual. That's almost groundbreaking, because they didn't just let members of the public walk around. If you thought they were a person of consequence, they might make you have a look at their house. And then the Second World War came, and this was turned into a school for the Home Guard. The Home Guard was for boys who were just too young for military service, or men who were too old for it, like over the age of 40. And they were just to guard their local area, static duties, manning roadblocks and things like that. And there were some little bunkers built for them. You'll see them all over the United Kingdom, especially by a bridge or a canal or something like that, to control that, to impede enemy progress in case the Wehrmacht landed in the United Kingdom. In the end, they weren't really called for, and they were just equipped with small arms. Some of them were veterans of the First World War. You might have seen Dad's Army, because they were with a mildly contumelious humour dubbed Dad's Army. Anyway, they were trained here. Tom Wintringham, a Spanish Civil War veteran, he was on the commie side in that war, and others, they were here, and they taught people hand-to-hand combat. Yank Levy, who was a Canadian who fought in the Spanish Civil War, he also was here, teaching people how to get into a knife fight in case the Wehrmacht came. As I say, in the end, they were not called upon to use these skills. But anyway, the top brass didn't like it. They felt it was somewhat insubordinate, and they were suspicious of these Reds having too much sway over the rank and file. So it was closed down in 1941. So the Second World War ended, and this opened up again. So looking at the griffins up top, and what's in the middle? Look a bit like angels shaking hands. I think it's got that golden mean, the 3:8 ratio. It's got ponds nearby. I don't think they're landscaped. I could be mistaken. They're gardens. That's the stable block, which is now a cafe. So that is Osterley Park. Well worth visiting. The largest area of green space in West London. So highly recommended. Obviously, when coronavirus is over, you should be able to go into the house. I've never been into it. I've only been to this park once before. So just giving you an idea of the size of the parkland. So very much appreciated by people who live nearby. Strictly speaking, we're in the Isleworth district. The council is Hounslow, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so we're not far from areas like Southall, which is the centre of the Punjabi community in the United Kingdom, Norwood Green and so on. There's Osterley, which is the tube station very close by. Okay, that's enough from me. Toodaloo, everyone.